In this series, I'll be looking at some of the jewels of Wales and looking at the wildlife associated with them.
These are landscape gems, my choice of some of the very best natural and industrial landscapes of Wales.
I'll be meeting people who live, work and play in this spectacular scenery.
I'll be finding out why they love it so much.
Yeah, I mean, it's a national treasure, really. You've got everything here.
I'll be exploring the sea.
And I'll be visiting industrial sites once exploited, but now being won over by nature.
I'll be finding out how the Welsh landscape is being used today and discovering some very surprising wildlife right amongst this dramatic activity. Wales has terrific landscape, and it's been enjoyed and exploited for centuries. It's been shaped by nature and by man.
In this part of my journey through the jewels of Wales, I'm looking at industrial Wales and its effect on the Welsh landscape and wildlife. How industry reshaped the land, and as the work ended, how nature returned. Also the secondary effects of industry on the Welsh landscape, such as canal and railway building, and the fabulous wildlife that lives in these new habitats. Also the great parks created by industrial riches, which in turn led to a wealth of wildlife.
The biggest industry in northwest Wales during the past 200 years was slate mining. The whole region is full of old slate quarries. Most, like Dorothea Quarry in the Nantlle Valley, which is only a stone's throw from Snowdon, have closed. Industrial work finished here nearly 40 years ago, and it's now nature's turn to work the slate.
I love coming to old slate quarries like this. And whenever I come, it makes me wonder what it was like 100 years before. All the men, probably hundreds of them, the noise, the shouting, the dust, the pollution here. And I bet they never thought the work would end. And certainly they wouldn't have thought that, what, less than 50 years after the quarry closed, that nature would be taking over completely. You've got birch and you've got willow and even ash and oak taking over everywhere, and that's dragging in the birds as well. Willow warblers and dunnocks singing away over here. And give it another 100 years and I bet there'll be very few signs of the quarry left at all. It'll be completely taking over.
Dorothea Slate Quarry is a magnificent landscape and probably one of the best examples in Wales of recolonisation by nature. As the quarrymen left and the tipping of slate waste stopped, plants such as mosses and ferns began to colonise. As these plants died, they helped to form soil on the tips, and eventually there was enough root hold and nourishment for trees. Soon after, woodland birds such as the robin returned. It's a rich and stunning landscape, and one of Wales's industrial jewels. Some of the slate mining in northwest Wales was underground, particularly in the Blaenau Ffestiniog area. It's a big mining region, and some quarries are still being worked. High up above Gloddfa Ganol Quarry, which at one time was the biggest slate quarry in the world, is Cwmorthyn. And in the combe is the entrance to a huge disused quarry. I'm joining two cavers, John Osborne and Roger Sexton, who know the quarry well and have agreed to help me explore the hidden landscape. The entrance is usually locked. You need special permission and expert help to enter the quarry. And for good reason. It's a very dangerous place. The mine has many miles of tunnels and hundreds of chambers.
These have been the trolleys to carry out the slate?
They would have been to take out waste. Find the big drop on the right.
Oh, yeah.
It's full of old tracks, tools and machinery. And there are many treacherous dead ends.
It's a dangerous place again, isn't it? A long way down there.
Back that way.
The mine began its life during the first part of the 19th century, with over 500 men employed at its peak.
All this machinery just lying around.
The work gradually dwindled during the first half of the 20th century due to the decline of the slate industry, and finally ended around 30 years ago.
What I find incredible is that they had to bring all of this down here in the first place. You know, we must be 100 feet down by now and more. And it weighs tons, and they put it all together.
Yeah.
And then it looks as if they've just left it, as if they were expecting to come back on the Monday morning again. But for some reason, that's it.
The mine has many levels, and the deeper you descend, the wetter it gets. With the water pump switched off, the quarry constantly fills with water.
Oh, wow.
Some of the chambers created by the quarrymen are enormous.
Man, what a place. What a place to
It
come
is
and work.
impressive.
So would there be many workers on this face here?
As I understand it, no. It would have been one, possibly two, just on the face at one time, with a couple of helpers down on the floor.
That would have been generations of work, just to dig this one chamber up there.
Each shot hole is hours of work. It was all done by hand. It's an incredible achievement.
Deadly work as well sometimes, wouldn't it?
Very. This mine had an entertaining nickname of the Slaughterhouse.
Was it? Called the Slaughterhouse? And I've walked the moors above here many a time, and I just didn't realise that I was really walking over what's now a hollow mountain. Incredible. Absolutely amazing place. Tell you what, like the flares, let's see just how big it is.
There's very little nature here, but it's a time capsule of Welsh industrial life, an incredible hidden jewel and a memorial to the quarrymen who worked here. Wales has a great deal of valuable geology, and much of the landscape has been exploited for centuries. This old limestone quarry is at Llanymynech on the border with England, south of Oswestry. It has the distinction of being a nature reserve both in England and Wales. I'm on the Welsh part, owned by the Montgomeryshire Wildlife Trust. During spring, it's full of cowslips, forget-me-nots, and a whole range of insects and butterflies. Even dragonflies pop in. But what I like most are the cliff faces formed by quarries. They're ideal nesting sites for many birds.
And one bird that's exploited this new habitat, probably more than any other one, is the peregrine falcon. There's a male perched high up on one of the ledges here, and he's got a fantastic vantage point. He can see probably a mile and more, so any prey passing by he's going to dash off. And this one's interesting as well, because most peregrine males have got the slaty grey back, they've got the dark mask, and they're very pale, almost white chest there. But this one is a dark individual, and peregrines have been able to move into new areas thanks to these quarries. So peregrines are actually commoner in Wales now probably than they've ever been.
In addition to valuable stone, Wales also has mineral wealth, and there's no richer prize than gold. And gold has been mined in Wales for thousands of years. This is the Mawddach River, near Dolgellau in mid-Wales. As it courses through Coed y Brenin Forest, the river cuts into the rock to form a gorge. It's not only a stunning location, but the site of one of Wales's biggest old gold mines. The riverbanks are full of relics belonging to Wales's gold rush past. Gold was mined here very recently, some 20 years ago, and George Hall was the mine's last manager.
George, what's the history of gold and gold mining in this area?
I feel sure somebody must have discovered gold round here maybe 3,000 years ago and got some gold. But the knowledge of it seems to have been forgotten. Then, of course, in 1849, gold was found in California.
Yeah.
And then it was found in Australia. And people thought, well, wait a minute, maybe there is gold around Dolgellau.
So there were several different mines.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
there must have been a dozen mines around here working on in a small scale.
Gwynfynydd would have been one of the biggest. When was it at its height?
The big gold rush here was 1861.
And in its heyday, how many men would have been working
Probably
here?
at least 250.
That many, would there?
Yes, goodness me, yeah.
I suppose the £1,000,000 question has to be, is there a lot more gold down there, do you think?
I mean, in my opinion, yes, there's a lot of gold in this district. I reckon there's a lot of gold still in Gwynfynydd. The problem is, do you spend more money driving tunnels to find it than you actually get out when you come across the gold? That's the problem. You've got to really be very canny.
In the meantime, the old mine buildings have been occupied by wildlife. Redstarts and coal tits both nest here. It's an ideal location for pied wagtails. There's plenty of insects and water around the old ruins and spoil heaps. And the gaps under the roof are ideal nesting sites. Like other birds, a pied wagtail looks its best during spring, when the black and white colours are particularly striking. The big industry in South Wales was, of course, coal mining. Most of the mines are now closed, but this vast industrial operation at Ffos y Fran near Merthyr Tydfil is part of a long-term scheme which is recovering coal from old mines and tips that used to exist on this site. The old mines and tips are being removed, and the huge industrial site will be re-landscaped back to moorland. What is surprising is that surrounding this enormous industry lives one of Wales's rarest breeding birds. The lapwing. And what's even more remarkable is that they nest here. Although you see plenty of lapwings around Wales, especially during the winter near the coast, this site is exceptional these days. There are very few breeding pairs of lapwing left in Wales. The ecologist that looks after the lapwings and other wildlife on the site is Kylie Jones.
It's funny, because you always think of lapwing as being a farmland bird, but like in Wales more and more now, they're on these industrial sites, you know, the kind of damp, bare areas, which is really good for them. Do they do all right here?
The type of ground up is perfect for them. Obviously, they're not here in the winter. They come back to nest now this time of year. They do pretty well, but unfortunately, they are heavily predated by gulls and crows, and that's the main thing that is affecting them.
I tell you the other thing, lots of them behind us now singing skylarks.
Yeah, a lot of skylarks on site.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? You know, it's nice to hear, and it's amazing to think that, you know, we're here in the middle of all this machinery. What's going to happen in here? Because you're going to have to fill all of this in.
What we're doing, obviously we're moving some of the rock to take some of the coal out, but we've already started backfilling there in the distance. The scheme's going to run for about 21 years in total, but that's with complete restoration aftercare. So the site will be grassed over and put back to habitat to attract back the wildlife that we have around here.
And the lapwings, of course, they'll arrive, what, in very early spring up here?
Yeah, usually about actually December, January times, the first sort of sightings we see.
That early, are they? They're up here then?
Yeah, they are. So they come up, but they don't actually use this area to begin with. They tend to stick in a different area that we have. We've got a couple of nice ponds. They use that for feed. I can see up to 15, 16 birds there early on in the season, and then they tend to disperse to different areas on the site and around the site as well.
That's quite nifty. And I suppose that's when they pair up and you see this fantastic display they do and everything else.
Beautiful display. You can't really miss the lapwing.
The other big industry in South Wales was iron production, and the Cyfarthfa Iron Works at Merthyr was one of the biggest in Britain. Remnants of the old blast furnaces are still standing and have been left as a reminder of Wales's industrial heritage.
It's only when you're standing right underneath these blast furnaces that you realise how impressive, how enormous they are. And can you imagine being here 150 years ago? Fires everywhere, noise, shouting. It would have been a vision of hell, really. And just look at it now at dawn. These holes dotted all along the walls are full of jackdaws. 30 or 40 birds over there, a few more over this side as well. They've just moved into these holes. They're roosting there overnight. Later on in the year, they'll be nesting in there too. I find that incredible that this massive building that man has built, abandoned, has now been taken over by jackdaws.
The jackdaws have pretty much taken over every nook and cranny, and they give a great display at dawn as they roll call before setting off for the day to feed. I couldn't imagine many people visiting this industrial heritage site at Cyfarthfa, especially at dawn. But this is not only a special historical site, but a great location for birds too. The industrial age brought with it the need and the ability to build railways. Like in the rest of Britain, there was large-scale railway construction in Wales during the 19th century. There was one big difference in Wales. The landscape was very difficult for track laying. This resulted in the building of many impressive viaducts all over the country.
This is one of those hidden little gems that I think makes Wales a very special place. Ponsarn Viaduct, incredible place. We're right on the edge of the Brecon Beacons, and yet on the other side, right on the edge of Merthyr Tydfil. And the railway line here would have linked the two, running from the South Wales valleys and the towns there over the mountain to Brecon. And in its heyday, Ponsarn Station on a Sunday in the summer would have been full of hundreds of people, all coming up here to picnic, to walk, to enjoy the view, just as I'm doing today.
It must have cost a fortune to build the railways, especially this one that connected Bala with Ffestiniog in North Wales. This is Blaen y Cwm Viaduct in Cwm Prasorni at Trawsfynydd. It's one of 70 viaducts and bridges built on 25 miles of railway line. It's one of the most expensive railways built in its time. Many cuttings also had to be dug for the tracks, and in hard rock that must have been very labour-intensive, but it has produced a wonderful wildlife habitat.
I like these disused railway lines. There must be, well, thousands of miles of them all over Britain, but this one's my favourite. It's become a real haven for wildlife. It's a linear nature reserve, really. And you see some of the upland plants who've moved in. There's a small woodland here, mainly of birch and mountain ash and a lot of heather as well, and those will attract in birds like willow warblers and redstarts. But what the engineers have done on this particular section, completely by accident, is they've created an artificial gorge. And it's got all the properties of a natural gorge in that it doesn't receive much sunlight. It's also incredibly wet. And because of that, you've got a whole host of plants that flourish in there. There's fir club moss, but more than anything else, it's the mosses and the ferns, and they carpet the whole wall for a long, long part of this section here.
The ferns and mosses look stunning throughout the year, but during the spring and summer, the old railway cutting fills with colour. In a way, the plants here represent at least 3 different habitats. The wet parts of the cutting are ideal for liverworts, mosses and ferns. The drier areas suit flowers like betony, a plant that you associate with drier grassland or woodland. There are also open moorland plants here. This is a butterwort, which has long, slippery leaves. When a small insect lands on them, it slides to the base of the stem and becomes trapped. The plant then slowly digests the insects. The other insect-eating plant that's found here is sundew. It has a similar way of trapping insects. When an insect is trapped in the hairy, gluey tentacles of the leaves, they'll close and the insect will be digested. Even before railways, canals had been built in Wales to provide transport for industry. This is Pont Cysylltau Aqueduct in North Wales. It was built during the early 1800s to carry the Llangollen Canal over the River Dee. It's the longest and highest aqueduct in Britain and a World Heritage Site. Canals are used for leisure these days, but of course they're great wildlife habitats. Probably the best in Wales for wildlife is the Montgomery Canal near Welshpool. Not far from the village of Llanymynech, the canal has to cross the River Fernwy. The aqueduct may not be on the scale of Pont Cysylltau, but it's nonetheless quite stunning and certainly full of wildlife. I'm going to have a closer look underwater.
This is the Montgomery Canal, which goes from the English border right across into the heart of Wales. That's one of my favourite canals. It's been closed for about 60-odd years now, and in that time it's become a great place for wildlife. And I'm trying to film some fish here. There were lots earlier, and once I put the camera in, they've all disappeared into the vegetation, but I'm hoping I can get something now in a minute. And the canal has acted as a kind of a compensatory area for mid-Wales, because a lot of the ponds and lakes have been drained, so you find the wildlife that would have been there in this canal. It's packed full of frogs and toads and newts and quite a few fish. If only I could find them. And most of the canals were built because of industry, because of heavy industry, steel and coal. But this one's a little bit different, because this one was built in an agricultural area. So it was built to carry limestone into the heart of Wales to improve the land, and then to carry meat and wool the other way to the heart of the English Midlands.
The canal is full of tadpoles, which shows just how important it is for frogs and toads. Eventually the fish reappeared, and there were shoals of them. These are rudd, a fish that's present in big numbers in the canal. The rich plant growth is ideal for freshwater snails. They really do well here. And the wildlife above the water is equally as rich. It's an exceptional site for a whole range of damselflies. These are beautiful demoiselles. The male has very bright blue-green metallic colours. The females are less colourful. The demoiselles are pairing up above the rich pools created in the old lochs. It's a perfect site for egg laying and for their larvae to live. The big industries in Wales brought wealth, but wealth for the few. In North Wales, they were the owners of slate quarries, and this wealth enabled the owners to build huge mansions and design magnificent parks on their land.
This is Penrhyn Castle on the outskirts of Bangor, and it's not one of those castles that was built centuries ago to repel invading armies. It's only 200 years old. It was built by Lord Penrhyn, a man in his day would have been a multi-millionaire. Money made from slavery, made from the sugarcane plantations further west, and also from local industry. And at that time, the biggest industry in North Wales was the slate industry. And he would have built the castle in a nice quiet area. He wanted tranquility, and because of that, surrounding the castle, you've got these wonderful grounds. They're not gardens, they're bigger than that. It's more like a parkland, and they are packed to the rafters, full of all kinds of wildlife.
The castle is set in a superb location and is overlooked by the Carneddau range of Snowdonia. It's probably the best example of industrial wealth and power in Wales. It's today owned by the National Trust and open to the public, so it's become a parkland jewel that can be enjoyed by everyone. And it does have some great wild areas. There are fields full of bluebells in the spring. And what's really good about public parks like this is that the birds here are used to people.
This is a particularly nice part of the garden here. It's woodland. I'll show you around some of it. It's a mix of native and exotic trees. We've got oak and we've got beech here, but we've also got monkey puzzle tree over there, some exotic pines as well. And the bird songs, a blackbird singing here, blue tits, robins, chaffinch calling. And what I really want to show you is down the bottom there, about 60 odd metres away, is a big old beech tree. Now, some of these trees, the oaks, the beech, would have been here when the castle was built, because some of them must be 300 years old and even more than that. And a branch has fallen off years ago, and a hole has formed. And in there is a tawny owl nest. And at the moment, as I speak, one of the adults is perched at the entrance of the hole, looking up, just making sure that I don't go any nearer than this.
The owl is guarding her chicks, which you can just about see in the background. Here's the shot again with the chicks highlighted. If there's a better view of a tawny owl with chicks in broad daylight, I've yet to find it. In the next programme, I'll be taking you to a wonderful woodland and wetland. I'll be exploring Wales's biggest estuary, and I'll be walking along a fantastic stretch of coast. I'll even be venturing underwater. It's my pick of the best landscape and wildlife of lowland Wales.
An amazing bird's-eye view of the world tomorrow, in another chance to catch the first part of our brand new series, Earth Flight, at 7. Next, though, there's a batch of foodie brain teasers heading your way with Kirsty Walk and a question of taste.